Start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. We, the students of Sarla Anil Modi School of Economics, NMIMS Mumbai, started the Economics Justice Conclave in 2019 as an extension of our Business and Economics Fest, Ka-Ching, with the aim to bring together people from different sections of society and to help address the socio-economic issue at hand. In the past, we have tried to combat the climate crisis and different aspects of inequality through the means of webinars, town hall sessions, panel discussion, and even with a national policy challenge which was submitted to the Government of India each year. This year, under the banner of FREED, which stands for Free Reign of Egalitarian Expression and Discourse, we aspire to look at the modern aspects of the single focal point that we believe creates this debate, discourse, and discussion in society: freedom. From discussing the technical aspects of our economy under the garb of financial freedom to discussing the simplistic, unapologetic art that artists in our country manifest. Our aim is to truly reimagine a free society. This month, under the theme Error 404 Freedom Not Found, we attempt to look at the forces that continue to curb the most modern form of freedom in the world.
Today, we have with us Mr. Ritesh Bhatia, who is a well-known cybercrime investigator and cybersecurity and data privacy consultant with an experience of 20 years in cyberspace. He is the founder and director of V for Web Cybersecurity, a two-time TEDx speaker, and has held discussions at almost 100 internationals and national conferences on topics such as mobile security, dark web, data security, cybersecurity, and prevention. He's a certified fraud examiner from ACFE USA and has solved many cases of law enforcement agencies, large corporations, celebrities, and individuals both in India and abroad, and has trained the employees of organizations such as the RBI, Anti-Narcotics Cell India, Indian Air Force, State Police, etc. He received recognition and appreciation from the Indian Police and Interpol for busting a WhatsApp group that was circulating child abusive material. On a lighter note, he has also played the real role of his real life self in an award-winning show, MTV's Trolls Police. Welcome, sir. It is an honor to have you here today.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, before we begin with the theme of the session, which is, of course, digital freedom, we wanted to first ask you about your life and your journey. So, we wanted to ask you about your journey completing your BE and polymer engineering from Maharashtra Institute of Technology and starting V for Web in 2000, a time when cybersecurity was not a topic that was discussed about or even known to the general public. What drove you to a field that, despite your previous education not being aligned with, to your current goals?
So you're trying to tell me I wasted one seat of engineering?
Not really, but we just want to get an idea of why cybersecurity, because in 2000 that not many people knew about.
Yeah, so the thing is, I started, I graduated in 97, right, and then I was like, working with a company that was manufacturing polymers itself. So, I did justice at least 2 years to the engineering that I did. And then over there, I was very keen in making websites, and I was more keen in the IT part of it, and internet had just come in, because if you see, internet came in around 1995, or a little earlier also, but in 1995 it was in the mainstream, and still it was not popular. People didn't know how to use internet, and I was like, kind of taking classes also, teaching people how to use internet and all. And getting them more and more interested when they came to know, oh, there's something like a triple X even on the web, so they were all the more keen to find out what exactly is this, how does it work. And so things were going very well. And then my boss, the main CEO, when I showed him the website and all, he says, you are not meant for this particular field. You must get out and start your own firm and you'll do well. And that's how V for Web was born. And in V for Web, so we were developing websites. And while we were developing websites, so we always, we had to buy domain names. We had to make email IDs and all. People weren't aware about it. That was a time when there was this particular cybercrime called as cyber squatting that was happening, which means, let's say your school's name, I'm already nmis let's say .com, I've already taken it. So I'm squatting it so that I can sell it at a very higher price. So that was the entire intention of people doing it. So I went into solving those cases, fighting for them. Then there were emails which were getting hacked, and a lot was happening. So I was spending more and more my time rather than building websites in solving my clients' issues, and I was more into the investigations part of it. So that's how then for a few years it just went on, and I was seeing that I'm more into this. So I did a course in forensics, then I did a course in the cyber law part of it. In fact, before forensics, I did the cyber law part of it. Then I did forensics, and then I said, okay, it's time to change completely. So V4Web is now doing well, and I'm completely into V4Web cybersecurity. So purely into like investigations, cybersecurity, and data privacy.
Absolutely, sir. Since you said you're into data privacy, I just wanted to know what according to you is true data privacy. Is it the complete right to be the sole owner and purveyor of one's own information, or has a definition involved to the extent where it is simply about data protection and not about simply one's freedom and one's attainment of that information?
So let's first understand, when we talk about privacy or data, there are two key things. One is the privacy part of it, and one is the protection part of it. So let's not focus on the protection because that's a little more technical kind of a thing and all. Let's talk about the privacy. If you ask me, I would say there are three things which are a myth on the internet. One is trust, the other is privacy, and the third is anonymity. So basically, when you say trust, like how do you really know like you're chatting with Ritesh Bhatia only? Or how do I know you're awake only? I've never met you earlier. You can take any name and you can put it. You can put yourself as Tom Cruise, and I'll say, okay, hi Tom. It's like that. So the trust element has to be zero. Okay. Then comes about the anonymity. You may put yourself as like, you may not show your face. You may like, change your sound and all. Okay. Again, you're trying to be anonymous. You're not giving your right email ID and all. But again, that's a myth. And so that's the reason when people commit crimes in the name of anonymity, they think, okay, nobody will be able to catch me. But I think MTV Troll Police literally showed that even if you're anonymous, we were able to like, kind of find you. And the third thing is privacy. I mean, although I am I wouldn't say I'm an activist, but somebody who talks about privacy a lot in the forums or news channels and all, I am telling you, privacy is a myth. Literally, it's a myth. So, but I'm not saying this that, we should not respect the privacy. We need to respect the privacy because, we are just going to make things worse. Literally, we are going to make things worse. So, for example, let's talk about the artificial intelligence that is coming up as a new technology. And, we are connecting all this with the digital freedom, and we're talking about the privacy part of it. What is really going to happen? What has happened with this artificial intelligence? If you see now, you all people would have heard something about morphing, right? It's been pretty common in your generation, because I come from that generation wherein I've been solving these cases. So now morphing is something that's outdated. I mean, today, even if one of you see that, okay, your image is morphed, you're not going to fall into depression or, going to commit suicide like what people used to do 10 years back, because you can easily make it out that this is just not me, and not just you, your family, and even others. Everybody can easily make it out that, yeah, this is morphing. Poor fellow has been a victim, and you forget it. Now what's happening is the era of deep nude. Okay, so the deep nude starting 2022 or mid 2022, you will be seeing a lot of deep nude stuff. What is deep nude? All I need is just a picture of yours. Lesser the clothes you're wearing, better for me. So which is good, which is easily found on Instagram. I pick up a picture, let's say, you in shorts or a girl in a skirts, wearing a spaghetti, or you just wearing a sleeveless this thing. The software, which is freely available now, will identify which are the clothes, which is the fabric. It will remove that, and you will be like completely nude, and it's going to be in just a matter of seconds. Now here, like in cases of morphing, what was happening was, you're taking my head, but there is a background of the cracked wall and some, a little bit of my chair and that tree, the branches which are kept over there, and you take it and you put it on some body which is maybe it's nude body and it's on the beach. So you had to do a lot of background removal and all. So, visually also you could make it out that, okay, look, this is morphed. Visually you could make it out, okay, this is a dark skinned guy, but the nude guy on the beach is a little fair skinned, so you could easily make it out. But with deep nude, nothing. You will say, look, you're bullshitting, this is you, because that's how literally it works. So when we are talking about privacy and all, it's also in our hands. How much information are we giving? And that brings me to the point of sari challenge. You remember there was this 2 years back, 1.5 years back, there was a sari challenge.
Right.
Everybody participated in the sari challenge. I'm sure like most of the girls would have done, or their mothers would have done that. What was the whole idea? The idea was a big database was being given to these artificial intelligence people, because they were testing, they were so successful, okay, with minimal clothing, which is like, just with the bikini, with the two-piece, they were able to do it. They now wanted to see what all they can do with somebody wearing a sari. And right now the research is going on that, and somewhere they are very, very successful.
Right.
So we are landing over there.
Okay, so that's very concerning. And that's something that brings me to the next part of the question. So since we are talking about digital freedom, the first question that comes to our minds and everybody else's minds is, what amount of digital freedom is too much? What is the line that separates a person's freedom to express on digital platforms, and for the very same person to be put behind bars the very next moment? What is that line, sir?
See, there's nothing like too much freedom or too much digital freedom. I think it's more about a particular responsibility that one needs to have. And now that particular responsibility, somebody cannot define it. And this gets worse in the cyberspace, because here there is nobody to monitor you. Here there is nobody to stop you. Here, once you say, you say. Maybe even you are out of your mind, you just say something, and you are just basically a keyboard warrior. So it's happening over here. Like, I go to the bar. I know that if I'm going to take, like, let's say 1 peg, 2 peg, 3 peg, I know that, listen, I need to walk out from here also. I have to drive and I have to pay also. I'm just not going to like gulp everything, I have to pay also. Now compare the same situation when I go to a party. Okay, I've gone to somebody's party and it is like free. Okay, it's free, drink as much as you want. Now again, here is a freedom, but what becomes your responsibility? How much am I going to drink? Am I going to throw up and ruin my reputation? So the same thing happens even in the online world. Here people need to realize that the other person reading the comments, let's take an example of bullying somebody, of trolling somebody. You come and you tell them like, okay, you look like so stupid, you're this, or what are you wearing? There is so much of bullying that's happening, especially with the college students and the school students, just not the school. You yourself would be knowing, like, somewhere or the other, all of you have been a victim of bullying somewhere or the other. And it hurts very, very badly. So the sensitivity which is there online is missing. So there's nothing like too much freedom. We need to get a little more sensitive, because, again, the generation has been born during the technology period. The generation has been gifted with quite a lot, many platforms also. And on top of it, the lockdown happened. So there's no exposure with like humans. There's, especially when you're in your growing years. So the sensitivity is very, very low. So we need to understand that every word like can kill, and it literally does that. So, my wife, Nirali, she runs an which stands for Cyberbullying Awareness, Action and Prevention. So we really know how people have been suicidal. People have been like, I know somebody who was hospitalized because she cut her wrist. And when I did a show with Sonakshi Sinha on cyberbullying, we had to call her so that she could talk about her experience. And she was bullied for the only reason because she is extremely thin. So just because you're extremely thin, you're being bullied. So there's nothing like a too much of this thing. I think somewhere you need to ask yourself that will my comments hurt somebody.
Right.
Now let's come to the creative freedom part of it, wherein the artists say that I have a right to show whatever. But I think somewhere certain things also need to be respected. Certain things should be respected. But at the same time, these people who always keep saying, "Now you've hurt my sentiments, you've hurt my sentiments," don't get so sentimental also. Yeah, go get a life, go for some counseling. I think you're way too sensitive. हर छोटी चीज में you're being like, your sentiments are hurt. Like I'm also a Hindu, मेरे कभी sentiments ऐसे hurt नहीं होते. Now don't start calling me anti-national just because my sentiments are not being hurt. So I think that people really need to get wise. You just need to see, what if you were in a closed room and you were talking with each other? Would your sentiments get hurt that time? Would you bully somebody at that point of time? So I think these are the things one must consider. So before, so one, I always believe in two tools which all of you should download, come what may. These are two amazing softwares. One is Zero Trust. That I don't trust, this is Avik Chokhani. I don't trust, I want to verify. So the Zero Trust principle should be applied everywhere. So you get an email, don't reply. Go with the thing, okay, you get an email from your principal saying, okay, tomorrow the colleges is starting. No, don't trust that email. Verify whether that email is from the principal or not. And the second tool I want you to download is pause. So even when you're making a comment, just pause for a moment. Is this comment going to hurt somebody? Am I going to make, it's okay. We don't have to just keep on typing and saying somebody's put up a reel and make a comment or whatever. As long as it's a nice one, healthy one, it encourages the other, it's okay.
Right.
But otherwise, pause.
That's very important. So along the same lines, so you spoke about people being too sensitive or the interpretation of things being different to different people. So I wanted to ask you about community guidelines across various web domains, which often carry a sense of ambiguity with them. But the nature of the interpretation between what is acceptable and what is not is often subjective, with YouTube obviously being the biggest example. Do you think that such a subjective interpretation which is often accused of being biased and discriminatory, is restriction of digital freedom? And what is an alternative that you could potentially have in the future to remove such ambiguity?
No, see, definitely this is biased, because if you see, every country has its own culture. Right. So I think what you're referring to these other different platforms, correct? Right. Let's say, for example, there is Facebook, then there is this YouTube, and there could be the Twitter, so you have three different giants, and let's not forget all three come from the United States of America, okay, who think themselves to be the most supreme people, and we need to remind them, you were once, you are no longer that supreme, okay? And so what they think, let's take a case, an instance that happened many years back. Again, I'm taking reference of a case of a morphing, wherein there was this Venupriya, there was this girl from Tamil Nadu, Salem district in Tamil Nadu. Somebody in the case, it was a case of revenge pornography, took her head, morphed it on a nude body of a girl who was wearing a bikini. And the entire community, the entire village of hers was blaming her and her parents and all. Parents were not ready to listen. I mean, they couldn't even understand that, look, this is morphing. They just found it so shameful that this girl went and committed suicide. Now, when these people, the tech giants, were told to remove it, they said it does not violate our community guidelines. So I think they need to understand, damn straight, you come and try and sell certain things which is not allowed in India. For example, let's say beef. If you really have that guts, now come and show us, try selling beef. Tell McDonald's to sell beef. It can't, right? So when you want to have a physical setup, you want to go by the law of the land. But when you want to have a virtual setup, you want to go the law of your land. So then you might as well stay over there. I don't think so. We guys are going to really miss something if we don't have an Insta or a YouTube. Maybe we'll be able to create, or forget, even if we are not able to create, these guys can bow down so much under pressure, because we are giving them the revenue. They will say, okay, look, boss, we will do it. So sometimes this, the digital dadagiri that these people are doing now is something that now we need to do.
Right. Understood. So along the same lines, so the New York Times actually made a very interesting statement in one of their articles published in September 2020. They said that Mark Zuckerberg is the most powerful unelected man in America. Given the amount of sensitive information that these tech giants such as Facebook and Google, like you said, possess, do you think that they are more powerful than the government? And what impact does it have on the political economy overall?
Zuckerberg, I would say is, he's one who's got approximately 190 father-in-laws. And so basically he's the son-in-law in every country. For the only reason because this fellow, he just thinks I have the data of everybody. I know what people are doing in their bedroom and at what time. He knows everything, okay? Because that's what is in his genes. He started his career by surveilling on people unethically, and still today he's that unethical person, okay? And I'm sure he knows this, and he knows that he may be hearing somewhere. He will come to know about this, that Ritesh Bhatia calls him with another surname, and he also puts this allegation on him. Okay, so he is that powerful that he can shake the governments, and which is exactly what has happened in America also and in other countries also. That's the reason, he never comes down under the pressure. You should have seen his body language when he was called by the Congress. And, so this guy holds that data, and he comes up with different ways wherein he convinces you to give more of your data. First, it was the still pictures. Then it was your videos through the reels, the audio, every damn thing this man would want to bigger. What you're chatting, we talk about that end-to-end encryption and all, but trust me, it's all bullshit. I know how it works, what it works. They know everything. They literally know everything. So there is a huge responsibility on these people, which unfortunately they are not looking into it. Just give me a moment. I just want to silence the phone, please.
Sure.
Yeah, so sorry.
No.
So there's a huge responsibility on these particular people, but unfortunately they are not understanding, they are not realizing, the effects that it is having on us. If you look at the polarization, you look at the lynching, all these things may be happening earlier also, but it is just getting now aggravated. So there's a huge responsibility, and hence the regulation is very important.
Right. So you spoke about regulation, which brings me to the next question. Something that was recently in news and has been in news for a while now is the need for surveillance reform. And it's something that I believe everyone in the audience would have definitely heard about recently. And because of the advances obviously made in mass surveillance technology. However, lawful processes in order to preserve the integrity of the government and of the body are necessary as well. How do we strike the correct balance between these two integrated and yet opposing objectives, where on the one end, we want to ensure that people can easily express themselves on social media, but on the other hand, we want to protect the government and the people as well from outside forces, like you said, through Facebook, having access to their data that want to harm them overall.
So see, when it comes to surveillance, every country does it.
Correct.
Okay, and when now here, when the government also wants to do it, it is because this is another world altogether. This is a different world together, and I really wouldn't want neither the government nor these tech giants to know what we are doing. But then, as I told you, privacy is a myth. Okay, so the surveillance part of which is we are already talking about now. If you look at it now, your college, okay. I mean, it's completely under surveillance, not because your school has a name which is common with the prime minister, but the CCTVs. Look at the CCTVs. I mean, have you given them the consent? No. So that culture is not over there. Ideally, the college should be getting a letter signed that, look, we have put a CCTV. Do you consent to it? And if we have put, why have you put? When can you revoke it? So these, the culture of privacy is just not there. So, and the same thing is, and we are not just talking about the surveillance only by one CCTV. What about the surveillance? Let's say it could be, I wouldn't say that with Aadhaar you can do a surveillance, but with certain of your identity things, like let's say passport. When are you coming in? When are you going out? See, these things have also helped in nabbing uh, offenders, in nabbing, the ones who have been breaking laws. So all those kind of things is there. What is now irritating or what is now becoming very troublesome is that this particular surveillance has there's a cyber surveillance which is going all throughout, and now the governments of the world want these tech giants to give them that particular data. Now this can turn out, this is not something that is a like a real great idea, but every time coming and saying, in order to maintain the security and the integrity of India, we need this particular data. No, I don't think so. You need to do that. And, when it comes to reforms or how it should be happening is, I think there needs to be court orders. The same way we have court orders like, okay, when you want to like search somebody, you need to get a court order. You need to give a valid reason. So these things should be there. Lastly, even the privacy data protection bill that is coming up, the data protection bill, it talks about
So it's lacking, I believe. I think so.
He switched.
Yeah, I believe so has some it.
Yeah, I think I lost myself. So just a second. Good, I had this as a backup.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. Just a minute. Just give me a minute, please. I'm expecting this to happen. Okay, you're able to hear me well?
Yes, sir. We're able to hear you. You can go on.
Okay. So, I think we got disconnected when I was telling you about the 13 agencies in India having like access to your data. So so they can go to the Facebook, they can go to the share chat, they can go to like or Twitter and say, okay, look, we need this particular data because, in the interest of the nation. So that is where things are going to get really troublesome for us. Pegasus, we've already seen what has happened with that.
I understand. So you've brought me to the next topic, which is obviously Pegasus. I just wanted to understand, as a journalist, as somebody who wants to voice their opinions, out there, who wants to write down, who wants to speak about what is happening with surveillance and with privacy. How does a journalist and how does somebody who wants to voice their opinion adjust to this new atmosphere where they have complete mass surveillance, where we have softwares like Pegasus that exist? How does somebody like that adjust?
Well, I think here, if you look at, because the journalists will always have that kind of a risk that, because the Pegasus thing has happened, nobody ever expected something like that could have happened. Now, let's understand about Pegasus. Pegasus is a spyware, a spyware, and it was put onto the phones of several people. Now, when I used to do awareness, I was like, so this thing confident about an iPhone. I said, look, you never have to worry because an iPhone can never be hacked. I mean, it's extremely difficult. I don't say it can never be hacked, but it's extremely difficult. And you really need those top-notch hackers to get into your system. But then Pegasus proved it otherwise. Just by sending an iMessage, just by making a call, the hackers were able to exploit the vulnerability in that particular phone. So, well, if the journalist has to do something like that, they really need to take that Nokia 3310, the Dabba phone, what we call as, or the cheaper ones, 1200 rupee ones, and work on that. And all their other communications can be done by their iPhone. But so having two phones actually kind of makes a lot of sense for them.
Right. Understood. So we have one question that basically goes along the lines of holding somebody accountable. So we have hate speech and we have false news, and we have different sources from which these two rather distinctive and very impactful things come from. Who do we hold accountable for this? Is it the government, or is it the ones spreading the news? Who do we hold accountable for this? news, in your opinion?
What do you think? How did this culture start?
So from the people from people who heard about it in the first place. So the news itself, I believe.
I think most of the culture started by people like sharing names with you only. There is Goswami over here, then there is a Modi school and whatnot is happening over here. So how did this culture start? I mean, this was never a land wherein the women were like disrespected so badly. Now we are talking about rating girls and women online, the kind of the language that is being used. What is happening about that? What arrests are being made? Nothing. So who needs to be held accountable for it? The ones who definitely are not complaining, the ones who definitely who are witnessing it but still not helping the victim or encouraging the victim to complain. Even they are equally responsible. The law enforcement agency will be responsible if they come to know about it yet they don't act on it. It is definitely also, I would say, an organization. Maybe even it's your school, it's your college. Like, they come to know somebody has been like this thing. The college needs to come together. The principal should come together. No, let me use my cloud to help you out. So it is definitely the chief minister who also needs to take care of this. It's definitely the job of the government, the prime minister also, that look, this is, you talk about a cow, that it's your mother. What about the mother who's actually the mother? So what happens about her? You talk about Devis, 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 otherwise the sentiments get hurt so fast. Now why the sentiments are not getting hurt when you see a young girl, let's say somebody from your college being abused so badly, given a rape threat? What are we doing about it? And most importantly, the platform. I mean, what are you doing for it? You damn always give me that stupid excuse that COVID is there. In the period of COVID, you made the maximum moolah, and now you say, okay, you don't have staff. I mean, come on, yeah, whom are you bullshitting? So these are the people who say, okay, we have a large amount. So I feel like, if a restaurant cannot handle too much of crowd, okay, then it's got to say no to that crowd. So if you think you're not able to handle so many visitors or so many users on your platform, stop allowing them to sign up for their platform. Why should I be able to sign up on Facebook when you're already not able to cater to those thousands of people who are already on Facebook? So if you can't, you just tell them, sorry, the sign up is closed over here. So what are you doing for it? Your money is increasing, but what about your team? Is your team increasing? No, your team is increasing only to make sure that, okay, you're able to do a more surveillance on us, but your customer support kind of a team is never increasing. You try writing a mail, they'll say, oh, we got thousands of mails and we are short on staff. Why are you short on staff? You got so much money, hire the staff, right? So everybody is responsible.
Right. So we now have questions from the audience that have come in throughout the session. This question comes in from Arjisha, and she's asked about police departments, which have now social media channels and have some sort of surveillance on general social media activities. How does that help, or does it not help at all? So it's internet.
Sorry, I just lost you for a moment.
No,
could you
no
please
worries.
repeat the question?
Sure, sir. So this question has come in from Archisha, and she's asked about police departments, which now have social media channels and have some sort of surveillance on their general social media activities. How does this help, or does it not help at all in the overall surveillance of the internet and the media?
No, but then is she? Could you get her on the screen so that may I understand the question better? Is she there?
So we won't be able to do that because the sessions for it would be better if just we could ask the question. So
Okay.
we won't be able to do that. So
which is okay with me. But all I'm trying to say, is she talking about the complaints? That if she goes
that is what I'd be expecting her to ask about, for the complaints and the police departments being able to analyze social media activities. Yes, that is what she's told me as well.
Yeah. So if it is related to the complaints, I think online handle is not the best way to put it up. Firstly, because you wouldn't want to tell the world that what is happening to you. Again, another form of bullying can rise with that. So what really makes sense is to go to your local police station, and because online nobody is going to take online thing. In that case, we are encouraging these platforms that, look, we are using your platform to make a complaint and all. The best way is to go to cybercrime.gov.in. That's the national cybercrime reporting portal. So I just repeat it for you: cybercrime.gov.in. That's the first thing you should do immediately the moment you feel that you're threatened or some sort of cybercrime is happening with you. And extremely important also to retain the screenshots. So let's say some man has called you up and he's flashed. What we do is, like, we say, oh, it's dirty, and we just delete it. No, don't delete anything, because you don't have any evidence. Try to record. If you have a facility to screen record, do a screen recording, take screenshots, retain these evidences, and then block. Because
media being really liberating for the marginalized communities. She's asked about them really helping raise their voice and concerns, or has it sort of failed in doing so? And where even though social media has helped these marginal communities, has it helped enough? Is the question.
no, I think I really cannot, Karan, I cannot just tell on behalf of others, but personally for me, I think the social with the news channels, I came to know a lot about the LGBT community, and the social media actually introduced me to many of these particular people, and I could also read about their grievances, the plights, and the fights that they have with the common man, with the daily things that go on with them. So I think somewhere a lot many people, okay, especially from we, the Gen X generation, have now started looking at them in a very, very different fashion. Earlier we just only had some sort of, we were like quite neutral. It didn't matter to us, but now it matters to us. If you're not able to, like, now if they come and sit, or even like, let's take my company only. I'm really now open to having somebody working with me also. So I think that's what the power of social media is, also the positive part of it. Has it not done enough? I wouldn't say that. Personally, I would see if it has helped so many of us change our mindset, I think it's done decent enough. But of course, there's nothing like enough. You always keep doing a lot more. So at least you started somewhere.
Um, we have another question that is coming from Adit, and he's asked about we do have social media agencies which control online activities of people, and one can also report comments. But we often see that these agencies do fail sometimes and are often faced with interference by other authorities. How can this situation improve, and can we truly trust the security institutions to keep the ethical aspect of social media intact?
See, as far as the reporting is concerned, the crimes are concerned, or even the cops are concerned, let us understand one thing: we don't really have cyber cops. So the whatever you hear about the cybercrime police station, you hear about, okay, we have a cyber cell and all. Ultimately, these people are not technological guys. They are not guys who have done an engineering or BE or even BSc IT. As a matter of fact, they don't know about networks, they don't know about ports. So it's high time that the government understands this. And we have the fourth defense, like how you have the army, navy, and air force. We really need the cyber force now. We need the fourth one, wherein all these people who are coming, they go into an academy, get the training, and these are like all IT guys. So unfortunately, we don't have with that particular thing with policing also. Today, if you go and talk to policing about what is catfishing, they will not understand, because for them, catfishing and honey trapping is the same thing. But these two are actually something very different. Impersonation and identity theft, you might say, is the same thing, but it's actually two different things. So it's extremely important that we have certain officers. We have a completely different department, and that's exactly what can sort out the issues. Nevertheless, I wouldn't say that the cyber police is bad. I think they're doing a reasonable good job. But yeah,
the force strength is very, very less. So they need more people. But again, if you look at the people who are joining the police, you would always see them like they are at a very low level. They come from certain cities wherein English is not even their language. It's not even their second or third language. So that creates a lot of problem. And cyberspace is all about the English also.
I understand now. So we have a question coming in from Divija, who's asked about the government of if in case the government of a country indulges itself in using private data, how do citizens uphold their rights at that point in time? Whom should they approach?
Only one option: the courts. You know, it's only when you go. I mean, that's one way. Otherwise, of course, you can also protest, like like the way. So that's the reason you need a strong opposition. You don't have even a strong opposition. So that is also something that's because they are the ones who will. I mean, ultimately, they are the elected representatives. It doesn't matter if they are not in power, but even if they're sitting on the other side, because not everything what the government does is right. The government is accountable, and we all have seen it, how it has repealed the farm laws. They felt, okay, the pressure was too much also. So there are so many things the government needs to take back, because then I'm not just saying it's just a protest, but we, the citizens, don't find it to be fine. So you need to take it back. And that's exactly what we even did for Aadhaar. There was a lot of things which was going in the eKYC and other kind of things in terms of Aadhaar. But then the court came and said, like, okay, we are not going to do eKYC. So I think voicing your opinion, this is where exactly you use the social media, and you really make noise over there. You come together, you make noise, you go to the courts. If you feel courts are not listening or you cannot afford the courts, you start making noise on the social media, because uh, most of the governments of the world, I'm not just saying India, are now, they have realized that the social media has become the voice of the citizens. People come over there, so they have their team sitting over there, and people take it over there. Okay, look, people are not liking this.
Right. So, we have a question coming in from Madhav Sarda, who's asked about a decentralized network or a decentralized net free from the monopoly of an MNC like Google. Can such a decentralized net ever work?
I think so, yes. I think so, yes. Already there are such decentralized networks. I really don't know what is it called as, but I was on it for some time. There are many journalists who are already on it. There are like whistleblowers who are already on it. And otherwise, look at blockchain. What is blockchain? The decentralized finance, DeFi, what we call in short, where you're having your virtual currencies and all. That itself is also a big threat to the government, also to all governments, because there's a lot of money that comes from the centralized banks as such. So this is decentralized. So yes, all these things are possible. See, when we can talk about going into the metaverse, when we are already in the age of VR and AR, so what is the decentralized thing? It is bound to happen.
Understood, sir. This question comes in from Mehal, and she's asked about Indian culture, which in some respects normalizes spying. How has that affected the way we view digital privacy in India specifically?
Could you, because I'm on the phone, could you just go a little slower and louder?
Sure, sir. So this question comes in from Mehal, and she's asked about the Indian culture, which tends to normalize spying. How do we approach digital privacy given this background and given the Indian culture that exists in the first place?
Oh, well, I don't agree that our culture like normalizes spying as such. I really wouldn't agree with that. But as far as the digital thing is concerned, again, it's all about raising your voice. Like I'm very glad that you youngsters. Yeah, I can call you youngsters, not me. Look at my salt and pepper.
Yes.
So our even after being students of economics, you people want to talk about the digital freedom, and you're talking about the privacy. You guys are talking about LGBT. I mean, really hats off to your entire team for coming up with this particular thing. Otherwise, generally, what would you expect? People talking economics and other kind of things only. So this is an amazing thing that you people are doing. So So the way that you're doing this, that's the same way when you go online and say no to spying. You say no, it's just not okay. You must have seen a lot many movements related to all these things also. Uh, but the thing is, let's not forget when you talk about spying. So one example that I would want to give to you, or I would request you to do it to all of you. Have you ever like looked at your app settings and gone to something called as permissions? Have you seen the number of permissions you have given? So the thing is, tomorrow, maybe tonight you might want to just relax. Tomorrow, when you sit on your toilet pot, okay, and you want to go look at Instagram and all, no, don't do that, okay? Just sit over there on your throne, okay, and look at, go to the app settings and just go and see that what thing is taking what permission. So for example, you will see Facebook taking permission of your microphone. Now you are not a generation who's on Facebook. So if you might want to uninstall, you will say, okay, no, I don't want to uninstall. I just want to have a check, I just want to keep a check on it. Cool. Do one thing, at least don't give him the permission for a microphone, for the camera, for the gallery. So you start taking it away, because this is a form of surveillance, isn't it?
Right.
Your location is on all the time.
Right.
I mean, even for an Uber, you really don't need a location, because you can just drop a pin at okay NMIMS. The car will reach over there outside that vada pav wala. Okay, you're going to have that buttery vada pav. So you really don't need to like bother about it also, correct?
That's
You don't need to give him that location. So if you go to Uber, maximum what kind of a permission would you want to give him? Location, that's it. So go and check if it is also taking permission of contacts, of gallery. Why the hell do these guys need access to my SMS? Now, what is that? Now in your SMS, the most important thing that comes, I mean, not for you, at least for the ones who are having bank accounts and salary, is their what is their balance over there, correct? The balance is coming over there. Who's spying? Everybody's spying. Who gave them the permission? You. Why did you give? Because you thought, who would enter the 6-digit code? Let him go and take it also. Come on, are we reduced? Our brains have shrunk to that level that we can't remember 6-digit codes. I think we should be able to do that, right? So revoke these permissions, especially to the SMS, especially to the gallery. This is surveillance. This is khulla surveillance, and by all these app developers. So you got to tell them no. This is the way you tell them no. That's the reason in your latest updates, you might be seeing that when you start your app, it says, do you want to give permission of, let's say, to your gallery or to the microphone only once, deny, or only while using the app? Why? Because people like us or people like you made that noise. Ki humko ye nahi chalega. And that's how that led to it. So this is a movement that's already started. Participate in it.
Right, sir. We have one last question that has come in anonymously, and it's a very simple question. It's an argument. It says, how do we argue with? They've already got all of my data. What do I do now? How do we argue with that statement, sir?
Such a fantastic question to end the session. So there is something, again, we fight. We talk and we build the noise of right to erasure. Okay, that I want my data to be erased. Now just imagine the way we said, allow the app or deny the permission. What did they come with it? Allow only once, allow only while using the app. They came to their knees now. So the same way, start shouting about right to erasure. When I say shouting, I don't mean to say go and make a hashtag right to erasure or whatever, but just be clear with this concept. There is a concept of right to erasure. For example, how does it work? Let's say, Avik, now you're in your second year. After a few years, you leave your college and go. You can very well tell your college, listen, I want you to destroy all the records. You had me in CCTV. You found me kissing a girl in the behind the car and all. I want all that to be deleted. You had it at that point of time. It's okay. But now to hell with it. There is something called as a right to erasure. Now, when this right to erasure thing start increasing a lot, and then it becomes a law. Then it becomes like, okay, look, everybody's understanding about this thing. So then that, like how the girl said that, spying has been in our, kind of in our culture. So the same way हमारे यहाँ पे भी वो जो चलता है ना, आपके पास पड़ा है ना, it's okay यार, culture है. So somewhere this culture is turning out to be now dangerous.
Right, so thank you so much. We'll now be having the vote of thanks by Muskan.
And let's also take a screenshot of all the people. That would be nice, and just send it to me. Unfortunately, I can't see the others because I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, so we'll do that for you, definitely. Just have Muskan.
Yeah, so on behalf of the entire team of HCon x Ka-Ching, I'd like to thank our speaker, Mr. Ritesh Bhatia, for this riveting session and the audience for joining us today. So we hope to see you all at the next session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.